Hey all, this week I have the opportunity to test drive this bad boy, which is the 2026 Ram 2500. And I'm doing a lot of highway driving. I've driven from Chicago to Indianapolis. I'm going to be driving back to Chicago. Then I'm going to be going out to the suburbs to do my radio show. So spending a lot of time on the highway in this vehicle. So what I want to do is I want to talk about fuel economy. I want to talk about overall comfort. And we're going to talk about some features and functions of this vehicle. No, I am not towing, and no, I am not going to try and fit it into my city garage. But we are going to dig into this in other ways. So my name is Jill Ciminillo, and this week's truck du jour is the 2026 Ram 2500. Okay, before we get into some driving impressions, I just want to do a quick walk around of this because, again, this is the Black Express and it is all new for this model year. So you do have the front body colored bumpers and you have this sport hood and you have the 20-inch convex tow mirrors. This is all standard. And I think this is a really handsome truck, but as you can see, this is really, really big. Did not try to fit into my garage. When you go inside, you will see that you do have cloth seats and my snow boots because we are expecting snow. But you do have cloth seats, black cloth seats. You have some air vents back here. And what I find really interesting is you have this seat that kind of bumps in. And so you could seat 6 people in this vehicle because, by the way, this folds back and creates another seat. But I find it interesting because you don't have a huge bump up here, which means, okay, somebody my size, so this is more of a child seat, can fit back here fairly comfortably without, their knees popping into their chest. So you do have air vents, but you don't have any kind of a charge port or anything back here. And again, because this is more of a base model, you don't have any kind of a sunroof or any really bougie amenities going on. But I do want to take a quick look at this front seat because there are some really nice things going on. And yeah, you do have this very large vertical screen. All right, before we talk about comfort and driving and fuel economy, I did want to talk a little bit about what is going on here. And yes, this is my driving position, no judging. I'm about 5 feet tall, so I do have to be a little bit closer to the wheel. But I will say that this does feel fairly comfortable. I feel like I'm far enough away from the airbag, should it deploy. And okay, my visibility isn't that great. The sport hood does pop up and I do find myself trying to look over the mirrors and the hood quite a bit when I'm in closer quarters. But this does have front and rear parking sensors, which is a huge bonus. And you do have a really good backup camera here. So yeah, when you put the vehicle into reverse, you do have your dynamic lines and it's very clear. So I do appreciate all of those things when I'm driving a bigger vehicle in a tighter space, like Chicago, which I've been parallel parking. So what else do we have going on here? So you do have this large navigation screen or infotainment screen. You can divvy it up and divide it up and customize it however you want. Right now it has like my phone calls, my Apple CarPlay here, and then you can set whatever you want right here. So we'll just put the climate up there. So you can parse this out and divvy it up however you want. I really like that. So I like the fact that even though you do have your in-screen climate controls, you have redundant controls for your most frequently touched items right here. The buttons are big. You're not going to miss them while you're driving. I like that. Now, the one thing that I did notice is when I was in Apple CarPlay and I was playing my podcast, I didn't notice any adjustments for your volume or your track on the steering wheel. And so I found myself kind of reaching, and I will say as a shorter person, that was a little bit awkward, but not a deal breaker. I like all the spaces to store things. So you have 3 cup holders here, which is great because I'll be honest with you, this is my water. This was my coffee from home. And yeah, I'm gonna be stopping at a Starbucks, so I'm gonna have a 3rd cup right here. This is just for me. So I like this. I like the fact that you have places to store stuff in front of the cubby here. And this is even better. So you do have your door bottle holders, which those are just okay. But yeah, you've got another seat here. Should you need it, you can fit a 6th person here. And I think that's a huge selling point. I wouldn't want to take a road trip sitting in this seat, but going to and from dinner, going to church, this is a nice little jump seat to have. And even though this is a seat, you still have a decent amount of cargo space in this area, which is also getting a thumbs up for me. You have a tray right here. You have your charging ports here. And all of that is really good stuff. I will point out this vehicle is a 4x4 model. So you do have 2-wheel drive, 4 high and 4 low, and they make it really easy to switch between all of these just by hitting the button. Now this vehicle is definitely more on the analog side of things outside of this right here, and you do have your analog gauges and a little cluster in the middle showing your fuel economy, and it actually does show your Apple Maps instructions through the little center display. This is a pretty basic truck, but overall I think it has a lot of the features and the functions that you want, from the durable cloth seats to 3 cup holders just for me, to this large screen, to Apple CarPlay, to all of the really comfortable amenities that you have. If you're on the short side of things, I will say this is less than ideal because visibility, but most people who are driving this truck probably not going to have that problem. Let's get into fuel economy and some driving impressions. Now, because I'm going to be losing some light on my drive home this afternoon, I did want to give some brief driving impressions before we make the final 200-mile trek home, and I'll follow up tomorrow with, woo, speed bump, some final impressions. But overall, I've been very impressed with the overall comfort of the Ram 2500. It actually drives a lot smaller than I thought it would on the highway, and those front and rear parking sensors, super helpful when you are thinking about dealing with parking in tight spaces in Chicago. Now, I've been incredibly happy with this diesel engine. It has a lot of power to get up and go, and it's not too loud inside the cabin, which I also appreciate. Now, because this is a heavy-duty vehicle, they don't have to give you fuel economy numbers. So we don't know what this actually should get, but I can tell you what I have been getting. So 200 miles on the highway mostly, and speed limits have been between 65 and 70 miles an hour. So I'm not going 55 miles an hour. I've been getting 16.1 miles per gallon, and I think that is actually pretty good for a truck of this size. Now, I will check in tomorrow when I'm heading out to my radio show in the suburbs, and we'll do like a final summary of what I think and what my fuel economy was. But I got up to as high as 16.5 when I was driving on the highway here, and I feel like, again, for a truck of this size, that's pretty good. Now, I did have to put some gas in here, and it was I want to say like 12 gallons of diesel fuel, and I spent like $35, $38. I don't have the receipt in front of me at the moment, but that translates to more than 450 miles of driving range. I probably could have made it from Chicago to Indianapolis back to Chicago without filling up, but why? Why would I do that? Gas is cheaper in Indiana. So what I want to say is this is fairly comfortable for a road trip, for your longer drives. One thing I do want to point out is because this is more of a base level model, you do not have power seats, you do not have a power steering wheel adjustment, and I generally don't find that to be problematic, but this also does not have lumbar support. So I feel like I'm kind of driving hunched over, and when I was on the highway 3 hours, I literally took off my coat and shoved it behind my back so that I could give myself a little bit more support. So that frankly, is going to be my only complaint about this. If you need lumbar support, or if you need a little bit more of adjustments, you may have to bring some extra cushions or pillows or things into the truck to support your back or whatever. But for the most part, no complaints. These seats are really comfortable, the right amount of firm, the right amount of squishy. My butt didn't feel stiff getting out of it. It was just my lower back. All right, I am back in Chicago. I've driven 200 miles to Indianapolis, 200 miles back to Chicago from Indianapolis, and now I'm driving 20 miles out to my radio show, and I'll be driving 20 miles back from my radio show that I do on Mondays. Car Stuff Podcast, be sure to check it out. And I want to give some final thoughts. So first off, I really like this Black Express package. I think it offers the right amount of technology and features for a vehicle in this price point. Again, it starts at $52,000, but with the Cummins engine, it's a lot more than that. But you have the big digital screen, you have analog displays, but don't really care about that. You've got the really large tow mirrors, which are super helpful since you don't have blind spot monitoring, and you do not have a wireless phone charger. Thumbs up to that, since nobody seems to get that one right. So I feel like the tech that is included on this vehicle is good. You do have a backup camera that is really well done and clear and has the dynamic guidelines. You've got front and rear parking sensors, super helpful when parallel parking. And I would say that this is not quite a vehicle that you'd want as a daily driver in Chicago unless you had a real purpose for it. But if you own this vehicle, it will be very comfortable and easy to drive. Wish it had lumbar support, but other than that, yeah, I really like this. I didn't think I would. I took it for a 20-minute spin a couple months ago, and I was like, why? I know. But the longer I'm spending with it, the more I like it. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time with a new car or truck du jour.